Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Manifesting Happiness podcast with myself, Esther McCann, manifestation coach and the author of Manifesting Happiness, a journal to attract all good things. On my podcast, myself and my guests are going to be talking to you about all things mindset, spirituality, and discussing techniques and shifts to help you guys create your dream life on your terms. We're also going to be debunking potentially toxic spiritual mindset concepts to help free you up from some of the bullshit that is circulating around on the internet and to help you manifest in a healthy, fun-free way. And today I am joined by the gorgeous Jennifer Bailey-Hobbs. She's Jen to her friends and she's Jen to me. Jen, how are you doing?
I'm really well, thank you. I always get worried when I'm referred to as Jennifer because usually my mother used to say that just before I was going to get a bollocking. So we'll stick to Jen.
This week, I went on a walk with my boyfriend and he said to me, do you know that RAT is short for Rathew, as in like Matt is short for Matthew? And I said, no, it's not. Like, what are you talking about? The next thing I know is I get sent this, meme of a rat and then, somebody shouting like Rathew, and it's about saying, you're in trouble with your mum when she uses your full name, but it's all like really stupid stuff.
It's really stupid. Pretty
but
random.
Apparently I've been living under a rock and missed this whole thing where people were making these funny things. Like there was a picture of a ham and somebody was shouting Hamantha.
Hamantha.
I was like, where have I been, for the last 5 years? So anyway, let's give Jen, not Jennifer, let's give her dues. Jen is a retreat host and international breathwork practitioner, but she is and does so much more than that. Jen is a retired senior police officer whose own mental health journey brought her into contact with the breath, mindfulness, and cold water immersion therapies. And those modalities have been truly life-saving for her, replenishing, healing, and restoring on her own physical, mental, and emotional well-being journey. And she's now blessed to be able to share those gifts, those techniques with all the amazing people that she gets to bless on her retreats. She's based over in West Wales, and her place is absolutely gorgeous. So I would highly recommend, let's just plug it. What's the name of your retreat business, Jen?
So it's Seedlings Retreats and Holidays, and we're situated in this beautiful harbour town in West Wales called Aberavon. So we've been here about 5 years. It'll be in August, and we've got a big, bright pink house that overlooks the sea. So very blessed. But yeah, totally manifested, which we will discuss later.
Let's get into it. So let's just dive in. So tell me and the listeners, what was life like when you were a senior police officer, and who was, let's take it to an identity level, who was Jen back then?
So Jen was somebody that spent her entire time serving everybody else. I'd been a single parent for probably 14 years. And I was constantly striving for the next thing, the next hit. I'll be happy when I'm promoted. I'll be happy when I've done my degree. I'll be happy when my kids are settled. I'll be happy when I've lost 3 stone. Never enjoyed the journey, always looking for the next hit in achieving stuff. And eventually what happened is I just broke. I'd had quite a few serious back complaints in my 30s, didn't really listen to them, had quite a few operations, and I think that was my body saying you need some time out, but I didn't listen, and I just carried on. And then about 7 years ago, when everything should have been the best it probably, and it actually, to be fair, everything was the best it probably was. I'd been promoted, my children were settled in university, I had no money worries, I met the man of my dream, another manifestation, lovely Chris, who you know really well, and everything was absolutely going fine. And then I just got severely depressed and had high function anxiety, and I literally couldn't go to work. I couldn't leave my house. And I can remember going to the doctors, and she said, well, I blame your husband. I said, what do you mean I blame my husband? She said, because you're now in a safe place to heal. She said, you have been on fight and flight for 20 years, and now you're in a place that you can heal. So you need to listen to your body and just mend. So that's where I was, and that was really the beginning of my journey. So that's about 7 years ago, as in bringing me into where I am now. And the rest has just been really deep shadow work, shitloads of manifestations, loads of positivity, and lots of big changes, emotionally, physically, spiritually.
Jen,
Yeah.
I just maybe it's because I'm hormonal. When you were talking about what the doctor said, oh my God, my eyes are going.
Yeah.
This is slightly off topic, but I don't think I've ever heard a Western doctor speak like that.
Do you know what? She was amazing. She's retired now. And I can remember the guilt, really low vibration, the guilt I had being off and unwell without my arm in plaster, without my head bandaged, or without my foot, strapped up. The guilt I had about taking time off because of my mental health was stopping me from actually healing. And she said to me in the end, I will decide when you're well enough to go back to work. So you haven't even got this decision to make. And between her and my husband, they work together to and she said, and she even said, if you ever even go back to work, and because I had about 4 years left of my policing career, and I thought, oh, back in 2 months. No, it takes a long time to heal, when physical is a breeze to heal in relation to mental. She was amazing, and without a doubt she saved me at the beginning of my journey. Yeah,
that is so beautiful. So big shout out to, I feel like,
yeah,
why am I throwing the like Ross, the sort of slightly weird, hey.
Yeah, I don't know what that is, but
YouTube,
yeah.
no, I'm like, yeah, shout out to the doctor. If anyone's watching on YouTube, I'm like, I don't know what is going on in right there, but hey, that is just so incredible, and it's so beautiful to encounter what I believe personally are earth angels on this kind of journey, those people that continue to make it safe for you to do the healing. And I agree with you. You're so right about the healing journey. In terms of, wouldn't it be nice to just click your fingers overnight and just to be able to drop all the baggage that you've been given over all the years of conditioning since you were a child, all the way through to the stresses of adulthood? And I think I will say there does come a point in consciousness levels where we do start to get to a place where when things come along, we can drop it much, much quicker. But I think when you're at the beginning, it takes a lot of time, a lot of patience, and a lot of self-love and compassion to be willing to go there, because I'm sure you agree, it's not easy, is it?
Oh my God, it's easier to, I almost sort of hid all my shadows by looking after everybody else. And I had a conversation, because I'm a Reiki master now, and I've just done Reiki healing actually. And we were just discussing how she's gone from having so many people to care for to actually just having to worry about herself now. And I said, well, actually, I get that, because what you're doing is, I was hiding behind everyone else's crisis, putting myself into helping everybody else, healing everybody else, being there for everybody else. I never actually got to deal with any of my own. It's a way of deferring, isn't it? Deferring you dealing with yourself when you're all consumed with everybody else. So yeah, it's really, and that's an easier thing to do than actually dig deep and just deal with the shadows and my mental health, and I still am managing it on a daily basis, but I have so many more tools now to help me in order to, when things get challenging.
Two things that you've said that are really important is, the first thing is that you're still on this journey, as am I. And I think a lot of the time, call it a misconception, but people think, oh, well, they're, practitioner of this, they must have got all their shit together. And it's like, no, I'm still just human, and I still navigate my own series of, thoughts that come in and out on a daily basis. And I think it just takes the pressure off people to just say, just take me, you, or anybody like that, just take those people off that pedestal. We are humans, we are space holders, and we have big hearts to help you on your journey. But yeah, by all means, don't think there's this standard of perfectionism and happy all the time that it's not a real thing at the end of the day. And I think what you said about the deferring is really important in that context, because you recognize that it was easier to do that than it was to visit your own stuff. And yet at the same time, you were getting, as anybody would, that positive reinforcement of, this makes me feel good to help people, and people like me and people love me. So especially when that is at play, you know, that the incentive to then look at your own stuff can, you know, not be so strong until, as you say, you reach these breaking points where something has to give.
Yeah, 100%. And I know that, and I think someone said to me recently is, you know, you need to know when to stop and rest, otherwise the universe will decide for you. And no doubt, and you know, and I was given, so the universe was knocking on the door, going, sorry, I'm knocking on the table now. It's pretty random thing on
Let's all just
podcast. I hope you can hear the sound effects. Knock, knock, knock. I thought that's really funny. You know, knocking on the door going, right, we're going to give you a bad back. Oh no, we're going to give you another, you know, give you this, and then we're going to give you a bad shoulder. Now you have to, and I just did not listen. And then suddenly when it takes away your ability to almost function in everyday life, as in mentally function, because that actually is physically and mentally flattening, isn't it? That you actually have to then take stock, and you actually, that was my universe saying, well, sorry, Jen, you haven't listened, and now we're making that decision for you to rest, and just because you only will heal when you rest. And I think just through childhood, there was so much guilt around, sat around doing nothing, you know, and it's just like, and even now it's I think, no, rest is equally as important as doing, as is one of our favourite sayings. We're human beings, not human doings. And when you can learn to just be, and that's what drives all of my work now. Sorry, it's a coffee machine clanking behind. Hope that's not too distracting.
We don't care here. We don't care here. We've probably got like dogs tap dancing in the back. I said to you earlier, I get drip nose. So I'm sniffing, and you're like, oh, that's such a hit. But you know, there's always some sort of sound effect going on around here, you know, so don't worry about it, Jen. You know, bring a washing machine in, whatever you fancy. We digress. At what point rather did you start getting interested in wanting to leave the police and wanting to pursue a completely different kind of lifestyle?
Is I've used all the skills that I had from policing without a shadow of a doubt. So even though it's a completely different lifestyle, because I definitely feel a lot more seen and a lot more heard, a lot more valued now, and that's my love language. You know, I don't need any money, just say thanks to tell me you love me and I'm amazing and I'm absolutely fine. But you know, I even forget to take money half the time. It's like, oh, have you actually paid me? And people will rock up to a retreat, I'm thinking, and they come and bring me some money. I think, oh, I didn't even realise you haven't paid. But it's just so for me, because I really wanted to get well, you know, I'd always been, and they say depression is the curse of the strong, and I'd always been so strong and so resilient and that matriarch. So for me not to be able to function was a really, really, I was not happy with that. And I really wanted to dig deep and find out how I can heal myself. And there's got to be other ways. There's got to be a way for me to come back to me. And I believe and I always knew I was inside. I always knew I was in there. I just needed to find me again. And so the first thing I got involved in was Reiki, actually. And I was just staying in a retreat outside Glastonbury. And I just had this revelation at this retreat thinking, gosh, I could do this. I want to do this. The space people were holding was just so healing, and I met amazing people. And actually one of the ladies I met when I had that that light bulb moment actually came on one of my retreats to Italy last year, and it's like, oh, I met her right from the very small seed that was sowed. And then I went into Glastonbury and had a reading, and they said, you are, and I thought, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to see if they can actually tell I'm ill, because I looked really well. And I thought, she's never going to know, because I'm looking like I've totally got all my shit in one sock. She's not going to know. And then literally, like, as soon as I walked in, she was like, oh God, you're so ill. I was like, no, I'm not, you know. And she just said, you are protected by angels. You are a natural healer. You need to heal, but the way you can heal is by healing others. And I thought, well, that I can connect to that. You need to do Reiki. I thought, well, that's a bit random. Okay. Then I went back to the retreat, and then I was having a treatment or talking to someone, and I said, oh, I've been told I need to do Reiki. She said, I'm a Reiki master. I'll teach you this week. Then I thought, oh, I haven't got enough money. Then literally an hour later, my son said, oh, I've just put that 240 quid back in your account, Mum. And I've completely forgotten that I'd lent it to him, and then all these things happened. So that was the beginning of my journey, the Reiki. And then as a consequence of that, and then I got into the meditation, and I thought, meditation, this is absolute rubbish. My head's too busy. I can't do this. I'm never going to do this. This is absolute bollocks. This is not helping me. This is not serving me. And then I discovered the breath. And then the breath with the meditation, and I just started to heal, and just slowly started to heal, and then slowly started to just manifest how I wanted to move out of policing, because I knew that policing, there is a timeline. Even though I could have stayed, I could have gone on and I did go back for a year as a senior police member of staff to finish a program of work. But during that time, I was just building all my skills up. I was learning more about my own shadows, my own deep, deep work. I was healing myself. And then I just knew that would be the next stage of me healing. And it's just been the most natural, yet challenging, scary, yet exciting journey. But on our way, so many things. It's just like, there you go. Thanks, universe. There you go. There you go. And it's like, wow, how is this in such a short period of time, within like 4 years, manifested into such a beautiful, beautiful, small, bespoke, organic, authentic wellness business? I just feel so blessed. And I feel so blessed for those really dark times, because if it wasn't for those, then I wouldn't be here now. So I'm so grateful. And if you had spoken to me when I was in those dark times, I couldn't understand, and I was like, why is this happening to me? And but now I know why, because I'm here now. And so I've got so much love for myself when I was so ill, because that was the start of this journey.
It's funny because you obviously know our last podcast guest, Ryan Hartley, Pastor Ryan, as I'm going to start calling him after the last episode, which you haven't heard yet, Jen, but I think you will love it when we get there. But that is exactly what we talked about on the last one, is that or the importance of being able to embrace the whole journey, not rejecting any parts of self, not rejecting, the timeline, because it just, again, puts you in resistance to parts of yourself. And it's just about embracing the whole. I loved what you said about basically that we could pay you with words of affirmation, but absolutely not.
I know. I am learning that. That's my next journey. I've done the physical, I've done the mental, and I'm on the financial health. That's one that probably might be more challenging, the whole lot, to be fair, because I'm not really driven by money. But
yeah, I find that
you need it though, don't you? Sorry, I'm unfit. You need it to be able to continue healing. You can't do it. Love is not enough.
So I remember as well when you were leaving the police and you kind of, going, oh, am I ready? Am I ready? And I think this is a journey that a lot of people go on, particularly whether it's in an entrepreneurial aspect or just in this journey, I think, especially of wellness and wanting to help people, because a lot of the time we are taught that, call it the creative or the woo-woo or these kind of things. People are like, oh, it's not a real job, or you can't, make money off of this kind of thing. And what was the belief, or at what point did you have enough internal belief, or you felt safe enough to make that jump? Or can you like encapsulate that as call it a feeling or a thought in your head, even if it was, I believe in myself, but this is still scary?
Yeah, it was a scary time, because I retired from policing in 2020, but then I've been offered a really good contract with them, because they literally realised there was a massive gap and they needed me. So it was just amazing. So I managed to negotiate a really good wage with a pension, And so I'd never been so financially abundant in my entire life. And then my husband had a really good position as well. So we were in a really safe financial position, but I had this just desire to just do. And I had, my skills were growing, and I was providing sort of, spaces in my own time. And we'd moved and relocated to this beautiful house, which was perfect. And I was just growing away from the business I was in. I was going to work, and I'd wear a T-shirt, kindness is key, kindness matters, and I'd be on, and telling people, now you need to turn your laptop off at lunchtime, we all need to go for a walk, we need to be kind, we need to teach it. And I was thinking, my God, I knew I'd completely outgrown, and I was ready. And I can remember people saying, we really don't want you to go, what can we do to we can extend. And I just said no. And and actually it was the same time my husband was giving up a contract as well, so we'd gone from 2 big wages to my pension and then the business. And I thought, well, you've just got to believe. It's just, it's shit or bust, isn't it? And I just thought, and what's the worst that can happen? What's the worst? I'll just get a job if it doesn't work out, or I do some other stuff. And I think and nothing's forever, and it's a case of, actually, this might be amazing for a year, or it might be amazing for 10 years, or it might not work and that might not serve me. So let's just give it a go. It's just like, you've got to follow your dream. And I didn't really know what my dream was, but I knew how I wanted to feel. And that was driving me, because actually, sometimes if you've got a specific dream, you can be disappointed because it might not work out how you planned. So you just got to put out there, how do I want to feel? And then everything else and the business in 3 years has changed so much. It's so different to how it was 3 years ago. And each year it's quite exciting. Thinking, I wonder what's going to happen now. This is how I want to feel. This is what I want to be able to deliver. And so I do put a lot of trust in what will be, will be. But there's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes, obviously, because it just doesn't just appear out of nowhere. But I am letting go of a lot of control, because I know how I want to feel, and I know what the life I want to be navigating, and I know the legacy I want to leave, and I know how I want to serve. But how that materializes this year, I don't know. How that materializes next year, I don't know. And that's exciting.
I've written down so many things, because as you talk, I have this when I'm working with clients. I get so many things. I'm like, oh, but if I don't write them down, they just go out. First thing that you said, or 2 things that you said that I'm going to pick up on and just going to say something about, is when you said nothing's forever. I think this is so true, in the sense of everything. Life is always in motion, and there's all these different realities available and different pathways available. And I think if anybody was listening to this podcast and was feeling like, I really want to follow a dream and I really want to make a leap, it's knowing that actually you can always change your mind again. Nothing gets stuck, or although that's another topic that, like, actually me and Ryan didn't talk about it on the last podcast, so I might go down that road, I might not. It's pretty deep, but ultimately everything is in motion. So like you say, you made peace with the fear, and I think this is so key. When you understand what you're fearing, so when you've got like attachment to an outcome of like, I really need this to happen, okay, well, why do you need this to happen? Or what are you fearing, the consequence, or what could happen if you don't get that manifestation? When you understand what you're fearing not getting, or what you're fearing happening, and you can take the power out of that, and you can take the energy out of that, and you can make peace with, okay, well, what will be. Oh, you relax so much more, and then you just allow things to unfold, because you're not trying to control circumstances, and you're not trying to pigeonhole yourself off down the path of, and this is what so many people obviously end up doing with manifesting, is they get a very specific idea about what they want. And there's nothing wrong with specifics, but sometimes specifics can create too much attachment to, to an outcome. And then we get really worried about, what does it mean if I don't get my manifestation? And I think that leads on to what you said about feelings. So it sounds to me like you don't really do a lot of specific manifesting. You do in a way, because like you say, otherwise you know what you want because you know how to show up for it. Like you say, there's work that's going on behind the scenes. So you're just kind of, call it being or doing behind the scenes, and you're doing what feels right. But I think you're trusting in that what will come off the back of that will be for your highest and greatest good in the feeling intention, rather than saying this needs to lead to something. Would you agree?
Yeah, I'd say that now, yes, because I have more trust in the process. I think the earlier days, when we worked together really early on, didn't we? And it's about that manifestation. I manifested. I always believed I knew exactly what I wanted. I'd been single for a long time, and I thought, right, I'm ready to find my man. And I just thought I knew what I wanted, and I wanted somebody that was, I don't know. I don't know how to just.
Is Chris what you wanted?
Yeah, honestly, I swear to God, it can be irritating, but he's a man, isn't he? And I'm equally as irritating, trust me. But he was exactly, and it was like, wow, he's just like almost he'd been morphed and then delivered. But so I knew what I wanted, however, and I always believed that person I would meet my person, but I just kept my vibration going high, and I just thought, well, actually, I need to be my best version in order to attract the best version of the person I want to meet as well. It wasn't a case of, so I kept a really open mind in relation to that, and we just knew that I definitely have manifested this lifestyle in this home, and manifested my weight loss journey, which is another thing that we can talk about, because I, through a lot of deep shadow work. But I do just trust so much more now that I just have released that control to believe, and just have so much more gratitude. And something that Ryan says a lot is, I have enough, I don't feel any lack. So that, because I think if you feel a lack, that can be a negative thing, even though there is so much more we could all want, isn't there? But yeah, I don't know if I'm making sense, but I think
You're making sense.
in my own head.
No, you're making sense. It's that holding that energetic balancing space between, it's a sweet spot of course I want more. I'm a naturally expanding being, and I'm allowed to want for more. And especially when, it's your things that you're wanting to do, you're wanting to help people and grow and all of this. And yet being able to also hold that energy of, and I'm great where I am right now.
Yes.
I'm grateful for all that is, and I'm grateful and excited for all that is to come. And when I have that kind of energy and thought in my head, it makes me emotional saying it. Like, I feel so excited, because as soon as I know I'm there, it's not even a case of, when we talk about manifesting, people see signs and things, and you go, oh, something's coming. When I feel like that, it's more of a case of, actually, no, something's here now, because I know that actually reality is just catching up to me. So if I'm already holding this vibration, something in linear time is about to unfold, but really it's already here, it's already within me. Totally. And it's coming out through me, and it's so powerful. Do you know, like, I love to dissect. Do you know who or how Jen shows up when she is in trust mode, and what her kind of natural relaxed behaviors are versus when Jen is not in trust mode? Can you see a difference in the way that you manifest outwardly?
Outwardly, probably not, but inwardly I can feel a massive difference. Okay. Yeah, so I am pretty consistent with my outward veneer, I think, but inwardly, if I'm not trusting the process, then I'm not sleeping so well. I'll be worrying and things like that. So I know that when I just let go, and I just trust, and then I just bring so much more inner calm. Yeah.
Obviously, I'm sure you would agree that breath work is an amazing tool to help you relate back to that, because it's about safety, right? You know, trust is the trustful, and the being able to lean back and say, okay, you know, you're going to have to catch me, because at this point I don't know. But do you feel that your breath work helps with that? And are there any other tools that you feel, or mindset shifts, or little things that you go to where you feel like that really helps me connect back into trust again?
Definitely. So if I'm feeling sometimes, like I do suffer still with that high function anxiety, and I can be sometimes get overwhelmed. So my go-to would be nature. So for me, just getting out. So it's a case of not on my phone, getting up, cleaning my teeth, having a pint of water, and going for a walk before I've even logged on, before I've even opened up the screen, and just being outside. And then the breath is super powerful, but I tend to do sort of like the meditations with the breath. So just about the mindfulness. So mindful is about being in the moment, being present, not worrying about the past, fretting about the future. It's just for me to become mindful is about using the breath, because more often than not I'll be breathing and then my mind's pinging somewhere else. It's like, thank you thoughts, and I just come back, and then might be 5 seconds later another thought, thank you, and then just come back to the breath. So I find that when I'm really, really present and I'm slowing everything down through the breath, that really, really helps. And more recently, I've just got a massive love for cold exposure, so the ice baths as well. So I've so I will have, and cold shower is equally as good. So more often I always have the showers cold at the end of my shower, and I still squeal like a puppy in there, but I can get in like 2 degrees of cold water. But when I'm in, I don't know what it is about the shower, when that goes cold, Chris just laughs. I'm going whoo, 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 like that, you know, screaming at the top of my voice in the shower, and it's probably still 15 degrees, but put me in an ice bath and it's like 3 degrees. That doesn't seem to have the same effect. I don't know what it is. But yes, I've got these go-tos that really help me when I'm struggling with the, you know, with the trust, or with just, you know, allowing everything just to flow. Yeah.
I've got so much respect for you, because we spoke about it last week. I am an absolute wimp when it comes to the cold, and I just can't do it. I mean, like I said to you, I get chilblains. I'm going to try and manifest that that's not even a thing, and take that out of my narrative. But yeah, I can't. I just can't do it. Not at the minute. I will tell myself that I am capable, and
Absolutely.
it's movable on this one. But oh my God, it's not currently not my idea of fun. But I
No.
do want that, though. I want to be able to do it. So I've got so much respect for you and anyone else.
And I think if it's not your idea of fun, that really is that is your message, that it is for you. Because I wouldn't even go in the sea in the summer. It was all too cold.
Oh
So
no, I won't. No, I won't.
no.
No.
So I literally, even, you know, the Caribbean Sea, or, you know, the Mediterranean Sea was too cold, you know. So it's I think, and for me, I suppose it's just pushing myself out of my comfort zone, because that's where I just have massive growth. And so getting in that ice every single time I get in, it is a challenge. It doesn't get any easier just because I do it all the time. But it has given me the most profound healing. You know, when my mum was passing and I was by her bedside for like 5-7 days, I remember I had to come back once just for shower, as you do, you know, sort of tag care. And I got into the ice, and it just brought me, and so I just got so much love for that healing and that peace it gives me. You know, I never ever thank it enough for helping me through that moment. So I got a lot of respect for it, and to be able to share it with people, especially like you, that are really petrified of it and it really isn't their bag, and then just seeing that dopamine hit is just so rewarding. And now they've got lots of little ice warriors that we've birthed in seedlings, and they're off like taking the world over, you know. So it's great. You will be that person.
All I can think about, did you ever watch Game of Thrones? And the Night King, and they had like all the, what are they called, the white, is it just called the like white army? But it's the Night King, and they're all like the army of the undead, and they're all like ice, like they've all got like blue eyes and stuff. That's what I'm seeing.
Yeah, I don't look quite like that.
What are you doing? What are you doing over there? I've just got a very like dark sense of humor.
Yeah, that's fine.
I feel that's not even dark for me. So let's, you know, it's only episode 3, so let's just, you know, rein that in. But I feel the gratitude from you. Like I can feel how grateful you are for all of the tools and for all of the experiences you've had. So on the topic of experiences, let's come round to your weight loss journey, because obviously I've known you for several years now, and we've not met up in person for quite a while. I don't think we've met up in person for about 18 months or so. And I suppose the best way I can say it is, and I don't even think, Jen at a spiritual level, but 3D Jen, as I know her normally, is not who is sat in front of me on my computer screen right now. And that is because you have lost how much weight?
Just shy of 8 stone.
In how long?
I'm week 63 today. It was wiggle weigh in Wednesday today. So every Wednesday I weigh in. I call it wiggle Wednesday because usually I don't know if you've seen on Instagram, but I walk through my kitchen door and do a little wiggle normally if I've had a weight loss. And the other day I was in a swimsuit and Chris was taking it. It's like, my kids think I'm batshit crazy, but it is what it is. And I just love it.
Great time. You're having a great
I am living my best life.
You are living your best life, and you're helping other people to live their best lives. And at some point, so because I can get in the water up to my hips, and then once we hit the stomach area, it's a no. So I will you will be helping me to live my best life, break past comfort zones, and get it up to my tater tots. That's the goal. If I can get it up to the titties, then I'll be very happy with that. So listen, let's talk about the weight loss some more. So how was that journey for you up until the point where it really kicked off?
So I have struggled with my weight all of my life. When I was 16, I thought I was fat. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that have got that. So my relationship with my body wasn't great. And I was absolutely tiny and I was beautiful. And it's actually tragic now. And I go back and speak to my 16-year-old self quite regularly to tell her that you're beautiful, and not to body shame yourself, because actually for me, it's not really been about the weight loss. It's been about healing and just being being a healthier version. And the weight loss has been a byproduct. I never, ever in a million years expected me to lose this amount of weight. I was expecting to lose half of it. But actually, I want to be my healthiest version. So it's still it's still continuing to come off. So that's absolutely fine. But it was, and I always knew, I've been a yo-yo dieter all my life. And I'd put on 3 stone, then lose 3 stone. Then I'd put on 4 stone, then lose 4 stone. And it was a bit of a cycle of a 10-year cycle for every 5 years. So obviously when I got really poorly about 7 years ago, I had just such an emotional reliance on food. Food was my dopamine. Food was my instant gratification. Food was my comfort. So if anything happened challenging in my life, I'd move into the fridge. If anything happened to celebrate, I'd move into the fridge. So there never really was a time where I didn't rely on food. So I without a shadow of doubt, didn't have a healthy relationship with food. And that's really, really difficult when life is all about food. It's easy to, it's just really difficult because everything is about socializing, community, and that's amazing. And I still really enjoy that, and I haven't stopped doing that. But when you've got this reliance on it for the dopamine and that feeling, it's really, really difficult. So when I was going through this period of healing, so obviously my mental health and my spiritual health, and I was working on all that, my physical health, I always knew my physical health would follow. So obviously I was running all my wellness retreats, and I always just said, look, I'm a work in progress. And people loved the fact that I was vulnerable, I was authentic, and I was still healing. And so I was, and on my journey, I didn't stop starting my business up because I had 5 stone to lose. I thought, no, I can do this, and this will be my journey, and I will lose my weight along the way, supporting each other as well and supporting other people. So I can remember I came on your retreat in Glastonbury, and I always knew the time. I knew I would know when the time was right to really address my weight. And Ryan's been coaching me for quite a few years, and every blinking coaching session would have been about my weight, and then it would go back onto the business, but when was it? Was it October? No, July. I can't remember.
It was July 22 was when.
So July 22. And you asked me, all of us, to do some work And it was I was talking, our 75-year-old self, I don't know if you remember it, was talking to ourself now. And I can just remember doing this work, and my 75-year-old self was really, really slim and really healthy. And I can remember coming up to you and said, my 75-year-old self is really unbelievably slim and has just said to me, thank you for looking after me. And it's like, where did that come from? Because it was just like, didn't even know I was going to embark on this journey. I knew eventually I would lose the weight, but I never in a million years envisaged that I would be looking like I was then. And then I just, obviously it was just the right time. I think my mum's health was deteriorating. I knew my granddaughter was moving nearby and I was going to have to be looking after her for a couple of days a week. She's only 2. And I was 8 stone overweight, and I was really struggling with, I was still running and still walking loads, but I was just really, everything was bloody hard. It was just so much harder because I was so much heavier. And so the time was just right. I found this amazing coach, Francis Diet, and I just thought, now is the time. But what I've done differently is I've just started to love myself and really genuinely care about myself. And I can remember once thinking, oh, I've never always been this fat. And I remember Scott saying to me, you're not fat. And I thought, God, that's the first time anyone in their life has said to me, I'm not fat. He said, you're carrying fat, which is overconsumption of energy and overconsumption of calories, which you can burn off. Just go out and just move. And I thought, God, that's just the first time I have felt this is temporary. This is not me. I'm not defined by this weight. Yeah, I'm carrying it, but I know I can lose it. And it was just like a light bulb moment. And just by loving myself, and more recently, I've just really dug, and I just thought I was on holiday and I had 2 suitcases and I was pulling these suitcases up the hill. One suitcase is 23 kilograms and the other 2 suitcases. So I had 46 kilos and I could hardly drag it up the hill. And I stopped. Chris said, oh my God, this is what I've lost. This is what I've lost. And I said, oh, quick, take some video. And so I can pull it. And by the time I got to the top of the hill, and he was chuffed to bits because he thought, brilliant, you can carry those suitcases up the hill, you mad bat. So he's like, so it saved him having to pull the suitcases up the hill. And I got to the top and I said, I love my body so much more now when it was so heavy, because my body loved me so much. It looked after me. It didn't make me ill. I didn't have high blood pressure. I didn't have diabetes. I didn't have anything wrong with me. My body was looking after me, just waiting for my mind and my heart to catch up and care. And that's where I am now. So my heart's and my mind's caught up to care enough to move more and just care about what I eat. And now I've just got rid of probably 90% of that narrative about that inside, and I have just got more capacity to heal. So I actually feel like my body's caught up with my mind now, and I'm just able to just do so much more to care for so many more people and just have so much more capacity. That was a really long answer, but
I'm always on the edge of my seat anyway, but I'm because I just sort of perch, because otherwise I'll lose myself. It's a bucket chair. But Jen, I'm sure everybody that's listening would feel the same way. And I feel just so unbelievably happy for you that you are in that space. And I think what you said then about the narrative aspect is really important, because when you said Scott said to you, you're not fat. And I know another family member had obviously said to you, you are fat. And I like you said at the time, you weren't even fat. So you grew up with this identity of I am fat. And it's about changing that. And it's just changing this identity. But so many of us still carry all these thoughts around of who I am. And you get to decide and say, actually, no, that's not who I am. I've absolutely got thoughts that run through my head about who I am. And yeah, it takes effort, but it also it takes all that love and compassion to change that and to disrupt it. and say, who gave you that?
Yeah.
Like, put it down.
Because what do they say? You've got 60,000 thoughts going through your head every day, and about 90% of them repeated, or 80% of them repeated, and 95% of them are negative. And you think, actually, it's a lot. I might have made those stats up, but they sound good. But it's just, you just think, how many of those thoughts actually are your own?
Well, exactly.
Probably a really small percentage.
Hand-me-downs, right?
Totally. They're ancestral, they're through society, they're through expectations, they're through families, hand-me-downs. I can't think of really many thoughts that are actually my own until now.
Do you know what I feel as you're saying that? It makes me feel like, oh God, why do I feel like I'm going to cry all the time today? Like I'm driving myself crazy.
No, that's good. It's obviously this conversation's needed.
Oh, it's just
so,
it's just so beautiful. It's so beautiful. It makes me feel like that really the true thoughts of who you are, that is source, and that is love, and that is spirit and essence. Those are your true thoughts. That is your true self, because how could it be anything but, when that is what we all are, which is just source having various human experiences. And everyone says about it, don't they? They say it's not about becoming someone, it's just about remembering. Like the healing journey is just about remembering who you are. And I just feel that it's like most of the time the thoughts that you're thinking aren't your own thoughts, but the pure ones are in there. The source is in there. And
definitely,
I don't know why. That just makes me very emotional today. It's just very like,
I think it's because it's just so it's really raw.
It's so beautiful.
It's just so beautiful.
It's
and I think that whenever I do any breath work and visualization on my heart, and that's when and when you receive love, you give love, but most importantly, you're able to love yourself, which is really, really important. That's when you vibrate. That's when you really do feel your authentic self, don't you? Love. That's all it is. That's all we ever strive for, is love in some capacity. That's all I strive for. Love my family, love my friends, love my clients. They love me. And just such kindness and just love. And that's just, everything else is so unimportant in comparison. And it doesn't mean about you've got to have the best husband in the world, or you've got to be in a romantic relationship. There's so much more to love than that.
100%. Like, agree with you more. I think when we did the last episode with Ryan, you know what Ryan's like. Ryan's very much about heart print. And I think it is about, we were talking about having gratitude at, say, a mental level, and you could think, I am grateful for this pen that allows me to write messages to people. I'm always grateful for my phone, because I'm like, I know that if I didn't have my phone, where would I be? Like communication is just not what it was. In terms of, got my Royal Mail stamps here. I'm not sending any letters anytime soon. But there's absolutely a difference between knowing something at a head level, or a thought coming in, versus when you really feel it in your heart space. And I think that when you have that real like love for yourself, it's not even that there's even necessarily a thought going through your head of, I love myself today. It's just this just pure energy in that space that just makes me feel so full and so blessed. And I don't need to sit there and explain it. Like, it's not something where I think you even need to give words to it. It's just, to me, that is the essence of fulfillment. If you can tap into that on a daily basis, then wow. I mean, at a manifesting level, at a frequency level, is just something else. And what you said, you said something earlier about, I can't remember, but we're talking now about authenticity as well. Oh, it's about surrender. Those times when you don't know what to do on your journey, and you're like, I'm run out of moves, as it were.
Yeah.
the best thing you can do is go, I just got to tend to my frequency. I've got to tend to my feeling state. I've got to tend to my emotional regulation, my self-love, like caring about myself, and then the rest will follow. But it's, we're very conditioned to, I need something to change around me to relax me, to make me feel better, to let me know I'm safe. Oh, I've seen the money in the, okay, we're cool. Of course that's great, but there's so much to be said for, we have to learn how to connect to that space rather than relying on all the stuff to give us the happiness. So you kind of just touched on it about the importance of love, but yeah, what does happiness or manifesting happiness mean to you?
I think for me, because people say, what is happy? How do you view happiness? And for me, it's just about having that internal peace. And happiness is not about ecstatic laughing and doing backflips, with sparklers around the harbour every day. Happiness actually sometimes can be really crying, those real snot bearing, when it's coming out your nose as much as your eyes, because actually happiness has been able to reflect on those really sad moments, but still really love them, because then you really appreciate when the light comes through. Happiness for me is just being able to understand that I love my body when it was 8-9 stone heavier than it had been, because it looked after me, and now I'm going to look after it and then help other people to look after themselves. And happiness also is purpose. So finding your purpose, and in whatever way, that brings me happiness. So the peace, the self-love, and the purpose is all fueled happiness for me. It's not about the flashy car. It's not about the Gucci holidays, the design, nothing like that. Material things mean jack. It's just about, I just want some peace, internal peace. And I feel like I have got a lot more of that over the last couple of years. Yeah.
And some of that is probably down to you, focusing on manifesting feelings rather than being too conditional about what those specifics look like. And when we were putting Manifesting Happiness together, the cover has got, granted, it's got a house and it's got an engagement ring on there. But there's other things on there that are just kind of like nature and so on and so forth. But that was very important to me, that I did not want the book just to look like it was all about the accolades and the material, because that stuff can make you happy, but like you said earlier about the dopamine hits, it's fleeting. They're snapshots in time to celebrate, but what about longevity, like fulfillment, purpose, love, these kinds of things. So the final question I'm going to ask you is there anything in terms of like, whether it's spiritually or mindset, where you've ever seen that online, you're like, that is absolute bollocks, and I just want to clear this up? Because everyone, someone could equally say the same thing for you and I, Jen, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of stuff out there on the internet, and it's like, I think it's called like pop psychology or pop spirituality, and everyone's an expert, and some of it is wonderful and some of it is, you could either use the word damaging, or it's actually quite limiting. Is there anything that you feel quite passionately?
I think it's all about what the expectations of, this journey that we're put on by society, and the fact that you go to school, you go to college, you go to uni, then the expectations, you get a job, then you buy a house, and then you have a relationship, and then you have a family, and then you work all your life, and then you retire, and then you die. It's just tragic. It's about, actually, nobody goes to the opera for the last note. You go to experience the journey. And so for me, it's just about experiencing the journey. And it's not all going to be shits and giggles. there's going to be challenging times, but actually enjoy those tears, enjoy those challenging times, and just yeah. So that's that. But for me, it's about, and then sometimes people say, you know, you've got to control your destiny. Control. It's just let go of the control and just, how do you want to feel? So that's my thing. It's like, because I say to some people when they're coming to the end of their career, well, what do you want to do? I don't know what I want to do. I say, okay, peel it right back. How do you want to feel going forward into this next chapter? Yeah. So just enjoy. There's so many things that I could go on forever, really.
You're so right, and there's so much pressure, you know. I think is especially even, well, call it for the can't for the kids, but like people in their 20s, you know. I know a lot of 20-year-olds, not necessarily 20-year-olds, but people in their 20s who are, you know, approaching on 30, and they feel like they're having a midlife crisis because they're not married, they're not on the property ladder. You know, I was getting divorced at 29, so you know, for me, I'm like, listen, love, it's not don't you know, it's, don't worry about it, but there's so much pressure, and I think everyone thinks, oh gosh, you know, my 20s are going to look like this, and I'm going to have it all worked out by a certain age. And you know, you can like you say, you can change your career at the point of retirement. You know, you can get a new relationship at, you know, after 40 or whatever. Like, none of this stuff, it's all about human linear time and ages and labels we put on it, but our, you know, our actual energy, our actual essence is ageless. So there's only now. So it's just about what you want to do with now and enjoying that journey and whatever point of now you're. I think everyone just gets, as you say, far too wrapped up in the dopamine accolades and what society says you should be doing.
Societal expert, yeah, totally. And I just think that, as you say, we're all we are as an energy, and literally we can do whatever we want to do whenever we want to do, but just enjoy the journey. You know, I am lighter now than I was in my early 20s, and I'm fitter now than I was in my 30s. And I got married at 48 to the man of my dreams, and I've got a really thriving business in my mid 50s, you know, and I want to be still going to CrossFit in my 80s. There is no age. If you're in your 20s and your 30s and your 40s, you're still a baby. Just enjoy and make mistakes. I get really excited when I make a mistake because I know I'm going to learn. I hate it if everything goes completely to plan. You have to make mistakes, and that's growing. That's not failure. So there's just so many things. And I think as you get older, you just get a little bit wiser. It's just, yeah. And just, you know, be grateful, because what's the alternative? You're not here. You know, just be grateful. Yeah.
If you're not grateful and appreciating where you are now, then yeah, you're not here now. You're wishing the now away, wishing you were somewhere else, and then you're not creating the future or the moment of tomorrow that you actually really want. So getting into the now is so important. And you're so right what you said, you know, about just this whole thing with like law of attraction. You know, I talk about it all the time, but it's that whole thing of, you know, don't shun the bad days. Don't freak out and say, oh my God, what have I done? What have I manifested? What have I attracted? I can't remember who said it to me, whether it's a YouTuber or, you know, if it's someone I know, I do apologize to you, but it's, you know, in the tarot, it's the tower comes before the star. So, you know, it's the same energy of like the night is darkest before the dawn. And it's always about embracing what feels turbulent, because if you embrace it, you let it kind of grow you're going to come out on the other side and into amazing things. And yeah, sometimes that shedding of, okay, like you said about the police, like I've outgrown this now. And it can just be outgrowing a behavior and outgrowing a way of being, saying, I'm tired of, you know, that whole thing of, what's the phrase? You know, insanity is doing the same thing again and again and expecting a result. You know, sometimes when I'm bored, I say boredom is the boredom comes before the breakthrough, because I'm bored usually of myself and doing the same thing and wanting things to change, and then I make the change and things shift. So gosh, Jen, I feel like we could just go on
chat forever. But and the law of attraction is, when you are in that space where you're just receptive and grateful, and and I was in that space, and I was invited onto the Breath Source app, and this is an international breathwork app, surrounded by some of the real masters, and let's say that as if I'm not one, but I'm absolutely blessed that was an opportunity that come my way, and that's all. So things will land and opportunities will come when you are just open and receptive to, you just let it be, just everything, allow it to be. Yeah, just be.
I so agree. Every time I relax into it and not forcing anything, give it. I usually say, from the point of me, if it's something, I don't know, I don't want to call it something big, but usually it takes me about 8 weeks. Like if I relax, this is just me, like I'm not talking about a text message or like, but like my book gave it,
exactly.
got to know 8 weeks later it came through. I can think of other things where I was stressing. Took me about 8 weeks of just chilling out, regulating, get back in the present, get back in my frequency, back in my zone, forgetting about it almost. And then it comes through. So, some people, it comes through in a day. Some people, it comes through, whatever. And I don't want to put a time cap on it for myself. I don't even want to create a narrative of it takes me 2 months to relax and manifest, because that's not true. But at the same time, I've observed it in myself, and I'm like, okay, well, I want to get to a place where that process like quickens on linear time, because I know more and more and more how to detach and let go. So Jen, how can people connect with you? How can they find you?
So I'm on Instagram as Breathe to Be and Seedlings Retreats and Holidays, and I'm on Facebook as Seedlings Retreats and Holidays, and also Jennifer Bailey-Hobbs. So yeah, and also the Breath Source app link is in my bio. So if anyone wants to download that app, just the link's there, which is great. And if anyone's been a retreat guest or been one of my clients before, then I can get them a month's free access, which is wonderful. And if anyone wants any support with their own journey, their weight loss journey, then I'm now an ambassador for the Francis Diet, which is great. So I'm supporting a lot of people that are in they've got a big journey ahead of them. So because you've got to walk the walk to be able to understand it. So yeah, and I feel that I confidently can say I've walked the walk in relation to my own mental health, spiritual growth, and physical rebirth. Yeah, so I'm just here to support, and I love my retreats, and we do day events. We're starting the Ice and Slice, which is a Saturday workshop where people can come along and do some ice and some hot tub, and we do beautiful retreats here in West Wales, North Wales, and in Italy. So yeah, we've created a lovely environment to share all the beautiful yummy wellness, and also breathwork, which is my go-to and my love.
Jen, I cannot recommend you and your beautiful heart enough. And I will pop all of Jen's links in the podcast description as well. So if you want to go and find her, I'll make your lives easier so that you can go and get to her as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Of course, I will do that. Jen, any final parting words before we wrap up?
I just wanted to thank you, because you've been part of my journey and you're just an inspiration as well. And we've had some real deep conversations, haven't we, in relation to the beginning of sort of my way and manifesting the business. And, and yeah, you've been a real inspiration, and, you've been instrumental in a lot of the things that have been going on. So reach out to Esther. She's amazing. And we are going to do another podcast after you've got in the ice.
Oh, we will, 100%. We
will show how we got you through.
We will, because I don't mind ending the podcast on this note for a little, giggle, is that me and a partner went to the White Springs in Glastonbury tried to get in, could not get in. Everyone was naked except for us. And we made a pact. Did we make a pact? But we basically said, okay, we'll be back next year in the bath and we will get in. I am committed to the vision. I don't know if he is committed to the vision.
No.
He is about growth though, so he may go for it. But
so I'd like to say I'm going to get you in partial titties.
But I'm not. I'm not going to guarantee that the titties will be out. But I will go in.
Oh no! I do prefer my clients to keep their clothes on in my ice bath. Thank you very much.
But at the White Springs, anything goes, guys.
Anything goes. That's great.
If you're all ready for the X-rated version, crack on and get yourselves to the White Springs in Glastonbury. Jen, thank you so much for joining me. You have been an absolute blessing. Sending much love, light and blessings to all of our listeners, and we will catch you in 2 weeks for more manifesting happiness. Take care, guys.